All right, it is that time once again. Wednesday night, PGA Late Show from Awesemo.com. Ben Rasa, Jason Rouslin. It's playoff time, FedEx Cup, right to business. No me noodling around at the top of the show. We got 124 golfers left, thanks to Brooks, and it is playoff time. How are you tonight, Rouslin?
Yeah, it's actually, I think it's 123. Vaughn Taylor is also.
Okay, we're dropping like flies. Here we go.
But yeah, I mean, but for real, we weren't going to play Vaughn Taylor anyway. Let's be serious. But yeah, the great thing about this show is like we don't even know last week happened. We just go right into it. We blow right over. If you won $1 million or we lost $1 million, no one would ever know. But that's how we've done it on this show. We focus on the here and the now. If you want stuff of how we did from last week, you can find it. We've got all of that information for you on the site. But we are here. We're talking about the Northern Trust. And this year, for me, I'm thrilled, as you can once imagine. It's being played at TPC Providence. Okay, maybe not Providence, but TPC Boston. But listen, it is closer to Providence than it is Boston. I'm getting my Rhode Island knocked right out of the way. If you are watching and you don't know, I'm a natural-born Rhode Islander. I may have transplanted to Florida, but this is what I would consider my home event. It was about 45 minutes from where I lived. I love the course. I went to it about 5 times. But we're going to talk, we talked a little bit about the withdrawals. No weather issues this week. It looks like a beautiful fall, maybe late summer tournament for the Boston area.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous day in New York today. I built lineups outside. I think they're going to get a good draw. So that's good to see. We don't want to deal with weather issues. A couple things right off the top, though. The chat is here. Everyone's in there. We're going to pump up the likes. Let's get it going. I see all the regulars in there. I am rocking the Jazz shirt. Big win against Denver today. 1-1 in that series. And more importantly than my Jazz is Super Draft, sticking with us, sponsoring this show, Jason. Multiplier mode. Tell the people what they got going on.
Listen, Super Draft has been a great supporter of us in the show, and we certainly appreciate it. This week, they've got a $1,500 first long drive contest going on for their exclusive game mode multiplier. So if you haven't heard about it, I'm going to tell you about it right now. The future of daily fantasy sports has arrived. Experience Super Draft's exclusive game multiplier, where you get to say goodbye to salary restrictions and hello to lineup freedom. Use your fantasy sports knowledge to draft any player you want. Build your very own dream team. Countless lineup possibilities like Tiger Woods, Colin Morikawa, Patrick Henley, all in the same lineup this week. Let you experience daily fantasy sports the way you want. Super Draft offering contests right now for NBA, MLB, PGA, NASCAR, and MMA, soon to be NFL, so you can enjoy the best of DFS all year round. Sign up for Super Draft using promo code Awesemo10. You get $10 free on your first deposit of 10 or more, and $20 total free on your first deposit of 100 or more. Download the App Store or play at superdraft.io. Super Draft, no limits and more winning. Before I came on the show, there was like 250 entries in there, so let's get a couple of those in there, or we might be heading for some overlay, which, of course, everybody wants to get a little piece of anyway. But if you're in for sweating some golf tomorrow morning, got some big names going out right off the top. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, and Webb Simpson going out in the early wave along with Tiger Woods, Dylan Fratelli, and Matt Fitzpatrick. Last time Matt Fitzpatrick and Tiger Woods played together, Tiger ended up withdrawing. It was an event out in Abu Dhabi. You don't expect that to happen this week, do you, Ben?
I hope not. This is most interested. I mean, we don't need to get the Tiger just yet, but I actually like Tiger this week, and that is a rarity for me. And yeah, I mean, the FedEx Cup, you group with some weird guys at times. I like it though. Big names. It's a good size field. Like you mentioned, it's not a full field. 6-6 will be slightly easier. It's still gonna be very difficult, but this is kind of like an invitational. We see this kind of field size at Memorial and honestly a similar field strain.
Yeah, it is a great point. So in the afternoon wave, a couple, just want to go over the featured group so that if you're sweating golf, you'll know who you're going to be watching. If you don't have the Golf Channel, John Rahm's Enter Shopplay, Lanto Griffin with Bryson DeChambeau, Sungjae Im, and Patrick Reed. Nice little grouping there in the afternoon. But before we go on, let's talk just quickly about first-round leader bets. Sometimes we get it out of this early morning. Harold Varner has popped up a couple of times in this spot. He goes out at 731. Anybody else catch your eye, Ben? Like Doc Redman, he's been kind of hot. He's going out early tomorrow morning as well.
It's those type of guys that, they're going to be appealing. You mentioned Fratelli, someone that maybe they can't sustain over 72 holes, but when they get going, they can shoot 64, 63. And that's what it's a first round leader. That's what we want. So, with calm conditions, it's not looking like it's going to be throughout the PM. Like you could see someone get going. I still always shade to the AM naturally, but It's tough. There's a tough first round leader market. I have not bet anyone, which usually I take a couple stabs. Haven't yet.
One of my afternoon stabs, I bet, I think 4 or 5. Matsuyama was my biggest afternoon stab. I just feel like his game is trending that way, but I don't know if he's ready to win based on his statistical numbers that we have seen, but we'll certainly talk about Matsuyama here in a little bit. So let's move on to our second topic, the TPC Boston, or TPC Providence, as I like to say, much closer to Providence than it is Boston. It's a par 71, 7,300 yards. Looks like Bryson DeChambeau will easily get to all the par 5s. I was watching their nice little charity match today. Let me tell you, Ben, the rough is not going to be a problem this week. Does that change your building philosophy at all? It hasn't mattered in years past, and it looks like it's really not going to this year.
No, it's not. That's the important point. I don't think this is a change. Like, this is a course you can be aggressive off the tee because you can get out of trouble, unless you do something really dumb. So that confirmed that. Listen, TPC Boston, yes, they didn't play it last year, but we've seen this course for years. It's a staple of the FedEx Cup.
Yep.
We know what you need to do here and what you can do. It's not, you don't need to be long, but it helps. You're going to have an advantage because you really can't get in trouble with the rough.
Yeah, especially 11 to 15, I would say. And then, of course, the par 5s, you know, they had the charity match on, and Champ was hitting 6-iron in 12 when Leishman was hitting 3-wood out of the rough. Hitting a 6-iron versus hitting a 3-wood, it's obviously a significant difference. So I definitely, if I had a decision to make between two golfers, if one was a bomber and one wasn't, I would choose bomber this week. All things, of course, other being equal.
Yeah.
I would lean the bomber here this week. I think there's definitely an advantage. So let's talk about a couple of those guys. I would even say, even in the rough some of the times, just my last note that I had, sorry, I just saw it. I mean, we saw some tight lies in the Bermuda last couple of weeks in the fairway. I mean, some of the lies in the rough are going to be almost even better than that. So definitely a different feel than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. But let's talk about the top end. It looks like Jon Rahm at 10,000 on DraftKings, a little bit higher on FanDuel. It looks like he's going to be one of the highest owned plays of the slate. Does that scare you off of him a little bit? Or does that just make you try and leverage other places? I mean, I got to be honest. When I saw 20+%, I got scared off.
I was just surprised. You know, I wasn't coming into the week saying like Rahm is my guy. I really like him, but I kind of thought I would take 20% and get over the field, to be honest. But that doesn't seem to be the case, and I'm okay with it. I'm still going to do kind of what I do with Rahm. Going to use him as one of my guys. You can start with him. You can be really aggressive with him as your second man in, and you can still get away with it in this field. So I'm not going to get the leverage I would have wanted, and that's a product of the ownership, but that's okay for me. I have, you know, I'm going to Rory as I normally do. There are other builds that I like with or without Rahm. He's not going to define my week.
Yeah, well, the only way I guess he would define my week is if he ended up winning and it's a pretty much total fade. Then I guess it could end up hurting things. But I just don't think he wins here. The numbers have not improved since the Memorial, since that win. I mean, they were okay at the PGA, but I just think your variability in terms of finishing position for Rahm is maybe a little bit greater than what you're going to get out of Bryson. And I just think the $1,100 is worth it this week. We say a lot that sometimes it isn't worth it. But now we can kind of move to the next two guys, or three. Bryson, Rory, and Justin, all coming in looks like 15 to 20%. Of course, you can get leverage by going 3X there. None of those ownerships scare me, I guess, is what I wanted to say here. Any of those ownerships scare you, or one you're just throwing out, or are you going to have equal allocation pretty much across those three?
So they don't scare me. You know, when you're priced up this high, no matter who you are, you're going to get ownership. Like, you're a damn good player. People want to start with them. So that's a product of it. You can kind of choose best available. I don't see anything where I really needed to pivot. To me, Rory is still the best available. That's a long-term view. Obviously, he's playing maybe the worst of these guys.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
It's weird. And this is just a common theme this week. There are so many guys, when I looked at their stats, it's either one of two things. One, they flipped, like Hovland, crushing ball striking. Now he's making putts and he can't strike it. Or Rory, he doesn't have a major leak. It's just pretty quiet. The irons are blah. The putting is blah. The off the tee is good. So I don't know if he's just quiet before the storm and he's about to open it up, or he's,
legitimately affected by no fans.
Exactly. Like there could be something there. So, it's just balancing how you want to view things. You've got these are the best players in the entire world to choose from. It's very easy to make a case for any of them. That's why they're priced up here.
Yeah, totally agree. Bryson, I'm in on a little strategy, I guess, on the betting side. I mean, he's only finished out of the top 20 once, that missed cut at Memorial. So I bet him top 20, and I put the exact same amount on him to win, because you're basically getting your win bet covered with the top 20. I think the odds were like minus 110. So maybe not quite covered, but almost like it was a free bet on him to win. That's how I played a little bit of Bryson this week. The guys that we didn't talk about, Colin Morikawa trending lower, started the week maybe 15% projected. Now he's trending towards 10. Does that get you interested in possibly the number one golfer in the world, if you would?
Yeah, it's crazy to say, but no, not really. I get it if people want to. No, he's the opposite of Rory in the sense this guy is an inferno. He can't miss. He's playing maybe like the best player in the world. I still have trouble seeing him at that price. Doesn't mean he can't justify it. He has proven time and time again at massive chalk, or what I would view as an inflated price, he can get it done. So if you're looking for the quote unquote ownership leverage, it would be Morikawa, but that is not where I'm making my stand at all. Are you going to use him? Because you're a big Morikawa guy.
Yeah. So 10,200, I don't expect ownership to creep above 14%. I think in single entry stuff, there's no chance anyone picks him. Especially with Rahm right there, then even Xander. Everybody loves Xander at 9.7.
That guy.
But yeah, I did not use Morikawa in my biggest lineup this week. I used him in that $200 single entry, the driver, I think it is, because I think we're getting sub 10% on ownership there. And then I continue to leverage him on FanDuel because he's almost half the ownership on DraftKings. So he is on my big lineup on FanDuel. I was able to get him actually paired with Thomas and DeChambeau. I just found three guys that I love. I know, you know me. I just go crazy. Cam Davis is in the lineup, so what a surprise there. I just needed that cut sweat equity, because he's almost guaranteed to give it to me. Last guy I want to talk about, though, Dustin Johnson. I mean, dude, he's like trending 5% owned. What do we do with this guy?
Yeah, so I like DJ. This is obviously personally, I'm not saying to do this. I bet DJ. I liked him as an outright this week. 22-1. That's something I could really get on board with. In terms of DFS, we know that the ceiling is still there. The floor, though, we also have seen when he was racking up 80s like there was no tomorrow. Again, I'm using him. I have Rory ahead of him. Certainly JT and Bryson I feel much more safe with and comfortable. But DJ is a guy who can dismantle a course. And if he gets going, he needs the ball striking to be better, though. The PGA result was good, but the putter bailed him out really hard there. So I don't know if you can bank on that again.
Yeah, it was really good, that putter. So I can understand the 5% ownership. So I think in GPPs, I may get 15%, knowing that I'm going to get 3x of DJ with a win and a second place, not too far out of the realm. But he's not going to be in any of my big lineups. I just can't trust him. I would rather spend the $700 and get Bryson this week. It's just, or even $900 and get JT. So definitely understand the ownership there. Of course, going Morikawa Johnson, certainly going to give you some uniqueness. It's going to push you down into that high mid sevens as well for your last one. So now we're about 15 minutes into the show. I want to direct everybody's attention. We've got a flash sale going on. And before our flash sale, we're going to tell you a little bit about our fantasy football kit that we have. Fantasy football is right around the corner. I've got 3 of my drafts scheduled in the next 2 weeks, which maybe is a little early. But hey, that's where we are. That's the game we're in.
It's literally here, football. I don't understand. It's insane.
It's like everything's coming down. The NBA has taken over for NCAA basketball. We don't have March Madness, but we got, whatever it is, August Madness. Basketball games all day long. Then we're going to flow right into football. And we here at Awesemo are excited to bring you our inaugural season-long fantasy football and best ball draft kit using the same tools that have helped Alex Awesemo Baker become the number 1 daily fantasy sports player. We have compiled a package that will revolutionize the way you prepare for fantasy football drafts for only $29.95, but a little asterisk there. Our draft kit includes everything you need to prep, including rankings, projections, sleeper tools, loads of content from our experts, and of course, the draft wingman, which will update team projections in real time based on players you have already drafted. Plus, Ben, they're going to get a bonus, and we're going to get a flash sale, aren't we?
Yeah, we got things on things there. So you just talked about all those tools, but as an added bonus, new members of the FFPC, your home for pay-to-play season-long fantasy football leagues and contests, get a $35 credit when you sign up for an Awesemo draft kit. So that would cancel the package out. But this is a flash sale. As you guys know, you've watched the show. This is going to be a limited time. We're giving the package, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is 50% off, half off. So you're going to be able to get in there for $15. And listen, right now, I'll be honest. I'm overwhelmed doing all these sports. I feel like a million people want to do NBA. They want to do NFL. They want to do golf. This is where we can help you guys. Like Alex has put in the tool. These tools it's a cheat sheet. It's a shortcut. And that's why there's no better time to buy this kind of stuff if you're looking to play season long, because time is precious right now with so many sports going on.
Yeah. And it's use code Awesemo Fantasy. All right. And that's going to get you the 50% off for $15. And you don't have to worry about it. You can spend more time talking to Ben and I about why Russell Henley is going to miss the cut this week, or maybe why he's going to win. Who knows? We will certainly get to that, but it'll give us a ton of more time to do so. All right, let's move on to our Super Draft top end review before we go into the 9K and 8K section, where a good difference from the previous 2 weeks. It's back to being really strong. But before we do, Ben, of the top guys that we've already talked about, maybe 5 or 6, tell me a couple of guys in the Super Draft top end review that you see that you like that maybe stuck out to you.
So it's interesting with Super Draft this week. They went pretty flat, and I kind of like that. It's not like, well, Morikawa is like 1.2. It's basically best available up top. Rahm, Bryson, Rory, and JT are all flat 1x. And then Morikawa is 1.05. So you're really not getting much. To me, that's going to lead me to Bryson and to Rory if I do choose the big names.
Yeah, I think this is the 1 week where if you want to go with the big names, certainly to do so. And then at the end, we'll help you pair them with some of the high-end multipliers. So you get that win equity up top, and you're going to get the high-end multipliers to kind of balance that out. So we will go over that, of course, at the end of our show. But now we'll move into talking about the strong 9 to 8K range. And I made kind of a big point of this the last 2 weeks saying, look, I think DraftKings was trying for a higher 6 percentage. Last week, it was still higher than normal than what we've been seeing lately, but still some big names missed, like right on the number. Ryan Moore, Ches Reavie, right on the
Ryan Moore, that guy.
Brutal. But with that being said, it comes in, it looks like Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Webb Simpson, pretty clear that they're going to be the chalk up here. Looks like Matt Wolff, if we extend down to 7.8K, Jason Day, Adam Scott, Tony Finau, Patrick Reed, all going to get 15+% this week. Do you want to fade all of them, or is there somebody in there that I said is going to be important for you?
So I do like that 9K range on DraftKings. You've got Cantlay, you've got Reed, I guess Day. He's a little premium for me, but Cantlay and Reed, they fit the course. Reed's playing better, and he likes, history-wise, this course. Cantlay's been a little quiet, but the irons are still okay. I do think this is a good bounce-back spot for him. Where I'm going to get myself possibly into trouble, I do not like Xander this week. His irons have been broken. He's been bailing himself out with short game. Webb is Webb. Listen, he's great. I'm not a Webb guy. Last week was the time to play Webb. This is not a Webb course. Like, this is not Bermuda. This is not like, this is not a narrow track. This is an off the tee type course. That doesn't fit him in my mind. So if I had to fade, it would be those guys rather than the Cantlays and Reeds and Finaus of the world.
Yeah, totally agree. The time to implore Webb is not when he's 16% owned at a bomber heavy golf course, when you've got somebody like Patrick Cantlay at 9,200, who's got 2 starts here and 2 top 25s. Although his form hasn't been great. The PGA, the numbers were okay. I guess basically what I'm saying, what I'm a little nervous about, which I was with Spieth, I'm not seeing the strokes gained numbers out of Cantlay. And I don't know if that was just course setup or, maybe he's just not in the best of form. I guess I'm a little bit more nervous. I'm still playing him in my biggest lineup because I went balanced there. I found that going Cantlay Reed ended up allowing me to pretty much go any way I want to. I think that's how I would start a cash lineup as well this week if I was going that route. How about you?
Cash is interesting this week. Last week, I thought it was pretty standard of like what you needed to do. You could do a lot of things in cash. Balanced in cash, that's how I would start as well. You could throw in Tiger and those guys and be just fine. Or you could pay up for one of the big names if you want to. It's just tricky. Again, in this type of field, you're not, no matter who you are, you're not going to be able to play every world-class player because they're all here. You have to make sacrifices. And that's not to say you think those guys are garbage. I mean, I kind of do, but other people probably don't think that. It's just, that's what you have to do. You have to make sacrifices. I would love to get all the big names in there. You can't get leverage on them all. So it's about prioritizing. And for me, Cantlay, Finau, Reed types are the priority up there.
Yeah, fair enough. Matsuyama, I know you've been a Mats guy. Are you off the train with him this week? And how about the higher owned Adam Scott as well?
So Adam Scott, he came back, he made the cut, leaned on the putter though. That wasn't great, but it was his first appearance back. If you think he improves, I guess go for it. Not for me. Now Decky is straight impossible. This is what I'm talking about. He finally has a good week. He gains 5 strokes around the green, which is an anomaly. Gains a stroke and a half putting. That's the first time he had gained strokes putting going back to WGC Mexico in February. And what does he do? He loses with the irons at the PGA. Comes in 22nd. That's what he's been doing. 22nd, 20th, miscut, 22nd, 21st. I'm going to stick with him, but it seems like he can't line the stats up the right week with the right putting, with the right irons.
Yeah, I mean, it's invariably frustrating because you see, since the restart, he's had it all, just not together.
Exactly.
And we kind of pointed that out with Matthew Wolff before he came in second place. It just seems like Matsuyama, no, it is a good course, top 5 here last year for him. A couple of other decent starts as well. So I do like him. But I guess I'm more pointed to, and I want to get your thoughts. Okay, so below Matsuyama, it goes Casey, Scott, Fleetwood, Hovland, Scheffler, Fitzpatrick, Hatton. Then it goes into the high 7. Are you more willing to fade everyone below Matsuyama and say above Matthew Wolff, so like those 7 guys, or is there somebody in there that you like?
So it's not my favorite range in general. Obviously, these are still damn good players, and I'm going to get some shares of these guys. But when you look, there is nobody in that range where I'm just like, I have to have this guy. Like, I think Hovland could play well. Fleetwood's irons are broken, but he's not going to be owned at all. Casey's playing better. Fitzy and Scheffler, I don't really have a take on. And then you have Justin Rose, who he was awful last week, but he's also $8,000. That's something that you're not going to see too often with a guy of that caliber. Like you look at him, even on the other sites, obviously on SuperDraft, he's even down in 9,900 on FanDuel. I'm still buying a little. I'm not going to lie. It's just, what do you make of a guy who's clearly struggling?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing a guy that's clearly struggling for like 3.5 years. I don't know if I'm the best guy to ask for that. I guess remove Jordan Spieth from this mix, and I try and don't play players that are struggling. I mean, I guess for me, I would rather actually play Tiger Woods this week. You and I talked very briefly before we came on air about this, but I think that he's actually in play this week. So what happened with him was, so we have 2 starts, and first of all, in those 2 starts, his irons have looked pretty good, pretty elite, gaining, almost close to, if my math is right, 6 at the Memorial, pretty close to 3 at the PGA. So close to 4.5 on average. We like that. Off the tee has been fine. We've gained in both. Around the green has been fine. It's been his putter. And what happened was he went to that longer putter, and talked about this for 30 seconds in one of my other pieces of content. I just said simply it's easier for him to putt with a longer putter because you don't bend over as much. But obviously, he changed his whole putting stroke. He's going back to his old Scotty this week, Scotty Cameron putter. So, maybe it'll hurt his back long-term more, but I like the putting for him this week. I think he's in a good spot. I think he's going to come in 12 to 15% at 8,700 on a pretty gettable course. I like Tiger this week.
Me too.
How about Tiger and Decky? Somebody just asked that in the matchup. That's a good one. That's
a good one. That's tough. And you got to, for me, I'm going to throw in Finau as well, who's $100 more. I think
that's real tough.
I put him probably in that order, and it's very close. I would go Finau over Tiger over Decky, but that's not to say there's a very real chance I am overweight on the field on all 3. That's a really good range for me.
Yeah.
Come on, Tiger. Just all the times I don't know if I've ever been over the field on Tiger, ever.
Ever? Well, it's going to happen this week, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen this week. I'm very excited. It should be good. And then he's just going to withdraw, and I'm going to be very upset.
Don't say that. Stop it. It's 75 degrees all day, even when he starts at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We've got nothing to worry about. Nothing. And as we say that, let's knock on wood. If you have it somewhere around, we want to see Tiger in there for 4 hours. All right, when we go into that high 7 range, we just got a question, Matthew Wolff or Cameron Champ. I'm going to say both. I'm in on both this week. But maybe there's somebody else you want to go to in that low 8, like Victor Hovland, or are you going down to Matthew Wolff, Jordan Spieth? I highly doubt you're playing Spieth this week after he probably burned you a little bit last week. Anybody else though in that range?
Who do you think I'm playing in that range?
Ricky. You're definitely playing Ricky Fowler.
Yeah. I mean,
the only guy I'm not playing is Billy Horschel. I'm not playing Billy Horschel.
Obviously not.
Done. He doesn't like playing.
That's a no for me, Doug. So interesting range. You've got if you think they tear the course apart, I get going to Champ. He can be mega aggressive. I get going to Wolff. We've seen him at easy tracks just destroy and get hot with the putter. Scores in bunches. You've got Woodland there, very reasonable. You've got Hatton, who has really cooled off, but the price has plummeted. Listen, you want to make a case about Ricky? To me, it's pretty simple. He's shown flashes.
He was history.
Basically in the last group. He's won here, first of all. He was in the last group or the second last group at the WGC. He played garbage on Sunday. He missed a 6-inch putt at the PGA, and that is
the worst ever. Literally the worst missed putt in major history, I think.
This is my question, and Chad, chime in with what you think. If Ricky made that putt and made the weekend, and he came in 48th, what do you think he would be priced here?
8,500, 8,400.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Is that missed putt make 600? Like, is he that much of a worse golfer because he did that? Like, to me, no.
No, I think what they did was they really flipped the 78 to 8,000 of the PGA Championship, where we saw Tony Finau, where we saw Tommy Fleetwood, and they moved those guys and subbed in the guys that were in that 8,500 range down here. Like now we see Fowler, and there's one other guy. Like Woodland was actually priced there both times, but Fowler was just one that stuck out. I think Spieth was maybe priced there both times as well, but that's beside the point. He would be 8,500. He's 7,900. He has shown a little bit of form. I think it's a good leverage spot, but I'm not trusting him for anything big this week, only because he hasn't shown me enough that at 7,800, I want to play him over Matthew Wolff. I guess that's my problem here this week.
And I think it's really important with a guy like Ricky or a guy like Rose to A, know what you're getting into, and B, make sure they're filling the objective of your team. We just had a good question about Ricky versus Woodland. I like Ricky more, but if my team was set and I had a lot of win equity and I wanted just a 6th guy who I think is coming in 20th, it would be Woodland. I think he's playing much more consistent. Ricky, he's missing cuts all over the place. I do think, though, the way he can putt, and he's shown flashes, generous course off the tee. Even for him, he loses a ball every week somehow. If he loses a ball in one of the first, just I don't know if I'll be on the show Wednesday. I swear to God, that guy loses more balls in the most obscene way. He should be fine, and he is under $8,000, first time I ever can remember.
Yeah, are you really referencing when he hit it in the palms at the TPC?
Yeah, you remember when he got stuck in the
leading
tree?
Yeah, leading the tournament, I think, and he ended up with triple because he saw the ball in the tree, but it wouldn't come down. And oh man,
you see what I'm talking about? He loses every other time. It's just like, oh, Ricky's on a golf cart. I wonder why that happened. Because he and then he can't even take a drop. He has to re-tee. It's absurd with him.
It is. It's pretty absurd.
So sick.
Some other absurd things that we'll certainly get into as we move down our list. And we'll go into our Make the Cut segment. I think this is a great time for it. We're right on the pricing of guys that we need to be at. So this is where I kind of go a little bit more rapid fire, but it's a great time that if you're in the chat, either our stock chat or in our YouTube chat, go out and fire a couple of these plays if I don't mention them. But let's start off with a guy who was on that charity challenge today. I watched play. Who's maybe this is a pretty easy one for Make the Cut, as Awesemo has him well over 50%. Is Abraham Answer this week? Are you playing him, and is he going to make the cut?
I am playing him. Going to gain off the tee. The rest of the game's all right, but I do like Answer. I think he's just fine this week. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in on Answer. I think he's a real quality player at 7,700. Again, I think we saw him at 8,200 or 8,300 for the PGA Championship. I think it was a little higher, but regardless, I am in on Abraham Answer. Siwoo Kim has been fantastic. Was the terrible mental preparation or whatever you want to call it? It was all mental on Sunday why he didn't win. Will that affect him? Excuse me, making the weekend this weekend?
I mean, it's a much stronger field. I don't really like the spot. I'll say this: if I was going to use him, I'd use him over on SuperDraft 1.35x. I don't mind that. I don't think he'll be popular at all. But Siwoo, he excels maybe more in a setup like last week, Donald Ross style, than this.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I hope that the next guy that I'm going to say, and I'm going a little out of order just because I think you brought up a good point, is Doc Redman like falling into that like course profile, course fit, or can I play him again this week because I like him?
So I do think there is some concern about that. Like he could fall into a trap. This is a step up. This is a different type of field. He's 8,900 on FanDuel though, 74. Like, yeah, that's a good price. I think he can score enough. He's right with Varner. Varner is the same price on both sites. I think I like Varner a little more, but both of them I feel pretty comfortable with.
Me too. I think they're both playing quality golf through their bag. Redman gained in every statistical strokes gained category last week. A couple of other guys that I like that we're going to be talking about in a little bit also did that. And we've seen with the winners the last 2 or 3 years here, they've done it through their bag. They haven't led in any individual strokes gained category. Just getting it done through their bag. So I like guys that are kind of in form in all of the aspects. Another one that had a breakthrough week, and we kind of talked about it last week on the show, that I kind of felt it was coming. It did come, and maybe he's back to playing good golf. And at 7,700, he's got to be interested. Sung Jae Im this week. Does he make the cut? Yeah, go ahead.
Sunday. No, I didn't really understand why Sanjay was chalk last week.
Frustrating because he ended up playing good.
He played fantastic. It looked like the Sanjay Im of pre-COVID, like where he was just dominating in Florida. You know what? I'm going to pass. I'm passing it right back to you. If he played like he did last week, he's live to win. But that came to me out of nowhere. Apparently everyone else saw it coming.
Well, I think what maybe people saw was the break in strokes gained on the approach at the PGA. He finally gained. And typically, if you went, I shouldn't say typically because we only have 1 year of information on this guy. But last year when he went through his bad stretch of iron play, which was like losing 7 out of 9 tournaments in a row, he had a break again at the Wyndham, and then he went on, basically a 7 tournament streak where he gained every week except for 1 on the approaches. So maybe it was a breaking point of the PGA. We found it. Even though he ended up missing the cut, still gained ball striking. It was really his putting that went bad. He had a much better week putting last week. So I'm in on Sanjay. I think he's going to be not too highly owned. And I do think he's coming around. I watched the shot tracker quite a bit from him last week, and I'm not going to lie, it looked good, and he didn't even putt great last week. So another guy that did putt well and is in good form, but now maybe I'm going against him. Last week I certainly wasn't. Kevin Kisner, and for me, it's a course thing. I'm just looking at bombers this week, and at 7,600, throwing all my Kisner shares to Cam Champ. So talk Kisner first, and then Cam Champ second. Are they going to make the cut this week?
So, Kisner, he has a formula of what he wants to do. We saw it last week. He's going to crush with the irons and crush with the putter. Can he do that here? Of course he can, but I don't think this is naturally the best setup. Like that was tailor-made for Wyndham. We talked about that. That's why Webb and Kisner and apparently Jim Herman are just, that's what they do. So much worse course for him, much better course for Cam Champ. I do think just on pedigree, Kisner can grind through this cut, but he's not nearly as interesting as he was last week.
I totally agree. I just think it was a fantastic course setup for him. So I would rather go to Cam Champ. Did you say anything about Champ?
I just, this is the type of course I think it's going to at least give him the opportunity to use his skill set more. You know what I mean? Like some of these courses negate it. This will enhance it. So
2 old veterans at 7,400 that maybe a year ago you and I would have jumped to get at 7,400, but I'm jumping the other way. I watched Mark Leishman today, and it looks like he's one swing away from sitting down for a couple of months due to a bad back. And Matt Kuchar has really he's just done nothing. He's kind of just, I don't know, kind of like I don't even know how to describe it. He's kind of playing like Jordan Spieth, I guess, like 60th, 50th, 40th. Just nothing good.
Yeah, not a lot of good there. Again, on pedigree like Leishman, he's a big game player, strong field and stuff, but he doesn't look right. I will say he's 125 to 1 in the betting market. You could do worse there if you want to just throw a flyer on that, but not a ton of interest on him. Kuchar, I do think will make the cut, but he's not giving you any placement points. So
it's really bad in my opinion. I'm out on both of them. I think that Kuchar slides through the cut though. I don't think Leishman makes the cut this week. I also don't think Brendan Todd makes the cut as well at basically the same price.
Me neither. Brendan Todd, it's not to say he's going to regress back to where he couldn't make a cut at all, but he was playing out of his mind. The putter was out of his mind. I think he's going to start kind of regressing. So I'm not on Todd again this week.
Shane Lowry had a buddies trip planned, but I guess the buddies ended up coming to join him down in the Sedgefield area, and now he's here playing because he ended up sneaking inside the top 125. Is this the last week for him for the PGA Tour? Obviously not last week ever, but last week of his season, I'll say.
I can see that. Again, we're in such a deep field. I'm a broken record here. These are all very, very good players.
Yep.
Gaining consistently with the irons, but at the same time, I don't think it's the best course. I like him more at like brutal tracks. Not for me this week.
Yeah, he did show me something where, he ended up going a little bit lower than I thought last week, but he ended up finishing right where I thought his upside was, which was top 15. I didn't think with how low scoring it was going to be, he could sneak into the top 10. I guess I got one thing right. I get it lucky. Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, I guess. Doc Redman, we already talked about. So Harold Varner, we both think they're safe and are through. I also think Byung-Hyun Ahn and Louis Oosthuizen, I have no problem seeing the weekend here. Although I do think that Phil Mickelson and Russell Henley may be packing their bags early. I just threw about 4 or 5 names at you. Tell me which ones you think are going to make it and miss it.
So I'm pretty much in line with you. Usti's gaining some steam, so that's a little concerning because you want to play him when he has no form and no ownership. But he should be fine. Benny On is gaining with the putter. Look, I don't know. It's kind of uncharted territory. If he keeps that up and he gets his ball striking back, he's going to win. I'm not saying that happens, but it is a positive sign to see him couple consecutive weeks positive with the putting. Phil, I'm with you. Talk about Russell Henley, though. I know he makes the switch from Bermuda to bentgrass, which is certainly a notch down, but his ball striking is just domination station right now. Do you think he regresses there, or is it a putting kind of thing?
So, the putting last week, we got him on Bermuda. We got the 3.6 strokes gained. We got another solid ball striking week. Yeah, I know he's got a second place here back when Chris Perk won in 2014. Those guys seem like similar players to me, can get hot ball striking, but aren't overly long. So maybe the tournament just played that way that year. 7,300, I think I'd rather go to Byung-Hyun Ahn. I don't know. Am I crazy for saying that? I just feel more comfortable spending 7,300 in this field for BHA than I do for Russell Henley.
I think that's fair. I like On.
I got a Rhode Island connection about Byung-Hyun Ahn, actually. This is a good one after you're done. Yeah, this is a good one.
Well, take it away. Yeah, if it's a price range thing, I get it. There's a lot of guys there. Neiman is there. We talked about Varner. We talked about but on its own merit, I'm not going to say in a vacuum, but yeah, I think Henley, ball striking wise, is still certainly in consideration.
All right, so the last 2 weeks that Byung-Hyun Ahn has teed it up, have you looked at his strokes gained putting?
Yeah, it's like anomaly style.
All right, so 3 weeks ago at the WGC, when he was in first place, they made known that a week prior at Memorial and Workday, he approached Brad Faxon, who's probably the best golfer ever to come out of Rhode Island, who is known as a putting guru and actually seemed like he fixed Rory McIlroy's putting last year, as now basically, I guess, his coach or his mentor or something to do with it, and it seems to be working. Faxon is one of the best putters of all time. I'm not just saying that because I'm from Rhode Island and so is he. I truly mean that. I don't know if you watched golf back in his day, Ben, but still, maybe that's really actually doing something. And if Ben on putts, he's got to be a candidate for some lineups this week for people. Another candidate that gained through the bag last week. He's a fan of both yours and mine. We both like him. I like him again this week. Is Dylan Fratelli. Are you playing him and does he make the weekend?
I am playing him. Just better make consistently. Like I was a little nervous when I really dug into him too because I needed someone at that range. But there's nothing really to look and be concerned. He's gaining across the board at Wyndham. He's made 4 straight cuts, including a major. Good player. He's got experience certainly in Europe and now plenty of experience on tour. He's won on tour.
Yep.
Make a cut. Now we're talking about make a cut, I'll live with it.
Yep, totally agree here. Just going to go back to my notes, make sure I didn't miss it. Oh, Phil Mickelson, somebody just asked about that. I'm all set. I like playing with no cuts. I think that's when I'm actually going to honestly play Phil Mickelson from now on. Have any take there? You totally agreed pretty much?
With Phil?
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
Okay, didn't think so. Bubba Watson, somebody just asked me about, and Alex Noren, 2 interesting names there, and Joel Damon, sorry.
So very, very different players.
Yep.
Again, Bubba, he's going to get a chance to really, be experimental and aggressive off the tee. Can he dive those putts in on these really fast greens? Maybe. I do have some Bubba exposure. Noren, I don't know what to make of him. He's been a roller coaster. He's found a little form, but it's just all with the short game. It's hard to bank on a guy like that. I don't really have a take on Dahmen.
I don't really either. Ryan Moore, who was the chalk last week, is going to probably be 0% owned. Same with Ches Reavie. Have you any interest in either of those two guys? I do not.
I'm going to go to Ryan Moore just in a pure game theory. We saw this with Ryan Palmer right off the bat at Colonial. He was massive chalk. He let everybody down. And then the next week he was minuscule owned and he played good. I'm just going to stick with Ryan Moore because I can take 10% and get leverage as opposed to last week where I needed 50%. And that was by far my biggest mistake last week.
Oh no, you fell into the trap. Oh
right,
no. Okay.
Step all up. Not that it would have made any difference.
Yeah.
But I can still complain about it. That's what I do on this show. So I will stick with Ryan Moore.
Ian Poulter and Max Homa, 2 names that have done okay. I'm not really sure I love either of them here. I think I'd rather play Dylan Fratelli.
I have nothing against these guys, but I'm with you. This is just, you can't play everybody. So give me Dylan Fratelli, give me Neiman. Honestly, give me Griot.
Patrick Rogers?
No. Well, now we're getting crazy. Patrick Rogers is an anomaly. I mean, are you going to play a guy like that? He's talk about a resurgence with the putter. Maybe Brad Faxton worked with him because he's now a putting god. It's insane.
Where's this guy? He's like Denny McCarthy all of a sudden.
Well, that guy.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Denny McCarthy. This guy led the field in strokes gained on the approach last week. And as good a putter as he is, if he does that any week, he's going to score 100 points. He may not come in the top 10, but he's going to score 100 DraftKings points.
Yeah, I mean, Denny McCarthy is the opposite of every guy that we say he just needs to gain like 0 with the putter and he's going to be fine. Like if Denny McCarthy just gained 0 with the ball striking, he's going to be fine.
Yeah. So I'm playing him because of that this week. I think that if his irons are really that much in form, he's got a great putter. I'm going to roll with it this week. He's 7,900 on FanDuel. He's 6,900 on DraftKings. I got him at a 1.5x on SuperDraft. I like it pretty much through the bag. 6,700, I'm sorry, on DraftKings for him. A couple of other guys in that area. Jason Kokrak is coming back, maybe?
I could see it. I mean, again, now we're talking about deep flyers. You're not going to have a lot of these. But, again, a guy that can get aggressive off the tee, his around the green game is broken. You don't need that here. That's not bad. We still have some names to get to. We're going to, in chat, we'll get some hot takes. But I do want to say, we also have another promo going on. We got promos on promos. Nightbot just dropped it. Promo code MAMBA to get an Awesemo Plus weekly NBA pass for only $8.24. Little Kobe action right there. Jason talked about it at the top. The game started at 1:30, and they're still on. And I'm joking. Take over. Go ahead.
You got choked up talking about the Celtics who are playing right now. We got Jason Tatum. In fact, our guy behind the glass, Jordan, has got it on, and we're trying to peer over his shoulder here to check out the score. But we've got NBA on all day long, and you get to come and join us. $8.24. So it's basically 50% off your weekly pass. And that is good until Mamba Day 8/24, of course. Then it's a pretty great deal. And Alex has got some of the best projections in the industry. You get those included in your 8/24. And it's such a good deal. We got you choked up on it.
Oh my God. That could have been it for me. What a way to go out on a stream. That was brutal. But this, like I said, same thing about our fantasy football package. The time that you can save by leaning on Alex's projections and the ownership is so immense that it's just worth it for that. So come on in for the week. Give it a try if you are playing NBA. We'd love to see it.
Justin in the YouTube chat just says, stop talking about Grillo and you'll be fine. You won't go through this. You would literally just mention Grillo and see what happens. That's 722 and like 32nd in his last 3 years here, and he's playing in form. Is Grillo going to be in your player pool and make the weekend? Yes.
Again, if you can,
Grillo.
Now his putter is broken and it's always going to be broken, but more than that, his around the green game is broken, and that will not be an issue here. These are like the easiest bunkers of all time. That's a big, big help to him. He should be able to lean on the irons, make a cut, and let's just get it done.
Somebody tried to make a little bit of a joke about Kevin Na and said that he's probably duct taping Kevin Na, duct taping his back a little bit. Does he 4%, 6,800? Okay, course history, terrible ball striking. Does he make the weekend, and are you playing?
So I don't have a lot of interest, but at that ownership, I think you can make a case. He is not what I'm going for. I'll say that. This is not the setup for him. But Kevin Na has proven he sneaky gets in the mix more often than you would think for a guy of, not that he's not a good player, but he's certainly not a world-class player. So I get it on that merit. Maybe if I use like a team with Kisner and him and some like really good putters mess around, but overall not even close to a priority.
Yeah, I mean, he tends to pop up at 4% at 6,800. I think he's in my player pool this week. I think I'll get him at 10%, something like that. Maybe not that high. Another name that I just saw that I wanted to ask you about. Okay, Scott Stallings has not missed a cut. Does he continue that streak?
People have asked about him. The problem is, even if he does, is he going to help you that much? He really hasn't done, you talked about Kuchar kind of like making some weekends and then he comes in 53rd. Like Stallings has been like that. So I'm a little skeptical. It's a step up in competition. Can he make the weekend? I mean, I'm sure he can grind through a cut, but at the same time, how many times does he pay you off?
Well, even when he's made the cut, right, in a cash setting, he's actually been fine. Yeah, but if you're looking for the GPP win, he hasn't helped you yet. Guy that has helped you, Sammy Burns, 6,900. The guy continues to perform. And don't forget, this guy was just as good as Doc Redman and such in college. He's only 22 years old, 23 years old, so he's still young. I'm in on Sammy Burns this week, 6,900. I think it's a good setup for him.
Yeah, he's just a good player. Consistently gaining tee to green. I do worry he's young, and I'm not saying he can't figure it out, but he has a actual putting split to Bermuda. He's an LSU guy. That is a real thing. I worry about him on these greens, but I worry about a lot of guys on these greens. And I'm playing Luke List, who is in a whole nother category of problems on the greens. So I'm going to use some Sam Burns as well.
Yeah, Luke List is at 6,700. So we're not quite into our deep dives yet. So some people that are asking about guys that are 6,500 below, they're going to pop up in our next section. So don't worry. I'm not ignoring you. If you've asked me about some, this is just how we run it here. Luke List, a solid. You ready for this? A solid 14 strokes lost putting in the last 2 weeks combined. Match that up with over 10 strokes ball striking.
Easy.
Gotta love it. I think he makes the weekend again, and I think he plays well again. I think it's a good course for him.
I mean, he made the weekend. He had his worst career putting round, or worst career event putting. And then he followed it up with a new career low in putting. So he had his 2 worst weeks ever putting in back-to-back weeks. I mean, what can you say? The guy gained 8.5 strokes tee to green and then 6 tee to green, and he lost 7 putting on both ones. I obviously am going to keep playing him. It can't get any worse, and nobody's that bad a putter. If he loses a stroke and a half putting this week, that means he's +6 coming off what we just saw. So I'll live with the results there.
Bud Cauley, who 6,700, same price as Scott Stallings, and Cauley scored over 100 points last week. So I would think that if you got to go Cauley or Stallings, you're going to go right back to Cauley, right?
Yeah, I mean, Bud Cauley's a guy that I play often. Didn't play him last week, and if he would have won, that might have been it for me. Yeah, that would have been a disaster. I do think you can go back to him. He does a little too much with the short game for my liking, but in a field like this, Henrik Norlander is the obvious chalk at that price range. But if you don't want him, you can go to Cauley.
2 New Englanders to round out our make the cut before we go into our deep dives. Keegan Bradley and Richie Warrenski. Do they make the weekend, and are you playing either?
I'm not playing either right now. I guess I could get to a little Keegan just because he's Keegan, but honestly, I don't see much really leading me towards them. The stats don't line up, and it's a strong field. I have so many other guys I like.
I'm there with you. And let's talk about a few of those now as we move into our deep dives and our hot takes here. So a couple of deep dives, and I'm trying to remember. I know my hot take was Christian Bezuidenhout, who is a top 10 and looks okay for a couple of rounds, but he didn't end up coming through. Do you remember yours before we move on?
I have no idea what it was, but I can tell you for certain that it was wrong. There's nothing about last week that I could have said.
Okay.
The hot take that would have been right.
Okay, so we're gonna recoup that for this week.
I have a great hot take this week, chat. It's a good one.
I love it. I like Tyler Duncan and Cam Davis as the deep dives this week. 6,300 for both of those on DraftKings, 7,900 on FanDuel for both of them. Both played really well last week, and I guess I'm just trying to play form all the way down here. How about you?
Yeah, Cam Davis is going to be a guy he's going to be a little over-owned, but you can get away with that at that price tag. Sharp friend that I talked to recommended Sepp Straka, forced me to look a little more into him, and I see that. He's a bad scrambler. You're not going to have to use that here. If he can make a couple more putts, I could see him as an alternative. I'm trying not to go down here that much, though. The low 6s and on FanDuel, that min and the big multipliers on SuperDraft, to me, you don't really need to get to them this week specifically.
So Sepp Straka, our boy Sal on the Monday show, I said, you got to give me the hottest take ever. And he said Sepp Straka is going to win this event.
Well, that's
so the fact that you're in on Sepp and he's telling me he's going to win, I'm definitely playing him now. There's no doubt in my mind.
And that's crazy. That's, as I often say, that's like, that's in the Dante's Peak when the grandma's pushing the boat in the lava river. Like, that's as hot. If the whole meter, that's the top of the meter. I don't know if we can get there. But
is your hot take, which you can now tell us, is it as that?
It's not that hot.
Okay,
I do think it's a good one. It's a guy we haven't talked about, not going to be owned. Brendan Steele. Playing better. It's coming off 13th at Memorial and a 22nd at the PGA. Tee to green is good. The putter is good. If that can hold, Brendan Steele's going to get in the mix this week. I'm going to call for a top 10. Nothing too crazy, but he is someone as a dark horse. He has the skill set to compete at a course like this.
I like it. I think that's a great call. A guy that I have already bet this week. I saw play today, and it confirmed my affirmation. If he can get his putter going, it's Cam Champ. I think he's a top 10.
Okay.
I know he's been your nemesis in the past, but I really think he's hired Sean Foley. Actually, hadn't hired. He's been with Sean Foley for a while, and Sean Foley was on the telecast today following Champ, and they got him for an interview. And Sean said how much he's been working on his iron play and trying to control it and control the spin. Looked a little bit better. I think that Cam Champ is coming into it. I don't know that he's going to be a superstar like Colin Morikawa, but I do think he is at least should be in the conversation with Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, and Matthew Wolff. Again, I would put all 4 of those above him, but his price right now at $7,600 to me, I think he's getting the top 10. I think it's a good course for him this week. So Cam Champ top 10.
It's a good one.
All right. Yeah, thanks. That's all right. I mean, I've already bet it, so I might as well stick with the theme, right?
this is a random question because we got a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
If you're Justin Sue, you got to be hurt, because I remember when these guys all turned pro at the same time. He was part of that press conference. I don't know where he is. I'm sure he's watching the show, as everyone is.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
rooting for you, man. I would love to see him get back out there. I always think about that because the rest of these dudes, Morikawa and Hovland and co, are just tearing it up.
Yeah, I feel bad. Top 21 at Barracuda, his best professional start on the PGA Tour. He's actually carried that up. He's got back-to-back top 10s on the I don't know. The SAM Tour. I think that's the Latin American Tour. I'm pretty positive here.
Medieval Times Open. As Dylan pointed out, though, Justin, smash that like. We know you're watching, so.
Yes. Appreciate that. Justin, nice back-to-back top 10s the last couple of weeks. Okay, we do have a couple of minutes. We'll talk about Superdraft here, and I see a couple of plays that I've been asking about down here anyway. So let's talk about Matthew Neesmith and Sebastian Munoz. So Matthew Neesmith here, I believe. Let me just check. I believe he's 1.45x, so probably not going to be highly owned at all there. And also Munoz, is 1.5x. So which ones would you go to there instead? Munoz, Neesmith. I like Munoz. Ball striking has been okay. Putter has not been good.
Yeah, I mean, at 1.5x, you're looking for a made cut. I would play Seb Straka at 1.5x over him. No doubt about that. And there are guys, I mean, again, I don't think you need to go that aggressive, but I mentioned Griot. I mentioned Steele, both 1.35x. Champ is 1.35x. I have a feeling that's a range that you'll be very into. Agreed.
Cam Davis at 1.5x for sure. Yeah, somebody's talking about Norman Jong, and man, I am definitely the guy that's willing to lose money on these guys. I lost money on Justin Sue. I lost money on Brandon Wu. Actually, Brandon Wu's been okay. Definitely lost money on Norman Jong, who can't even make a
Batia. That guy.
That guy. He scored 45 points, I think, in 2 days. He was well inside the cut, and oh man, I feel bad for him. I got to be honest. He'll make a cut soon. I really think he will. If he gets a start, that is. He's got to earn them now. Those are all done. All right, a couple of more minutes. Dylan Myers, another one of those guys that should have done well. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, did we get all of them? I want to make sure that we got our chat. I know Coolers has probably given us a couple. Here it is. Yeah. So Bubba, we covered. We're both kind of out on. Grillo, we're both in on. Oh, Corey Connors. That's one we haven't talked about. He missed 2 inside of, I think, 3 feet. I was texted last week to miss the cut on the number. What do you think about Corey Connors this week?
I mean, he's a good ball striker. I just don't know if he can make enough putts. And you can say that about a lot of these guys. There's no doubt, but I'm not really there.
No, I'm not really there as well. Keegan, Seb Straka, Brendan Steele. Actually, we just covered a lot of those. So Coolers, you must have already known what Ben was going to say, because he is definitely in love with those egregious plays. Okay.
My God, Chad is bringing up names of people I straight forgot existed. Cody Gribble wins every 3 years, and then takes the other 3 years off the weekends, at least. That's for sure.
All right. So I've seen this question a couple of times in the chat, and I'm going to answer it now just because a couple of people asked. How much Jordan Spieth do I have this week? All right. Well, let's put it this way. He's not in my FanDuel $500 team. He's not in my DraftKings $500 team. He may be on my DraftKings $200 team. It's like, the third or fourth most important lineup for me. He's been on the first. He's been on the most important. So I am coming down off from here. So all of those that have been waiting for me to get off the ship, I'll never fully get off the ship just because I can't allow that to happen. But this is the lowest exposure I've had in quite some time. And it is a week where he can blow it 30 yards off the fairway and be fine in some cases. Does have good course history. So, yeah, I'm, of course, going to have a little speed. About 20%.
I have a little for what it's worth.
I think he's going to be 5 to 10% owned. Definitely not 10. So I'll have 20% in GPPs, and I'll throw him in a single entry lineup for sure.
On that note,
on that note, I think it's time.
Jordan Klein behind the glass. I was just looking at him. He's got the game on behind him. It looked like there was a little scrap there. I don't know what the hell's going on that TV. It looked like there might have been a fight in the basketball game.
We love that.
Maybe not. Maybe it was just a replay. But on that note, it's 9:30, so I'm going to have to go see what Luca and the gang are doing there. Chat, you guys are the best. Hit that like button on the way out. Mamba, promo code, Week of NBA. No better time to get in there. If you guys have any questions, get in Slack. join the family. We'd love to have you as part of the community. Good luck this week. First leg of the FedEx Cup. We'll be back next week, same time, same place.